All right, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to each and every one of you in the name of His Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, or who we know as Jesus the Christ. It's kind of a blessing every single time that I can come before you to bring a message contained in His Word. Never do I count it a light thing to do so. All right, I want to continue with Bible basics on marriage, biblical marriage, and there's certain aspects of marriage that are very in ancient Near Eastern culture or Hebraic culture, ancient Hebraic culture, that is quite different from what we would see today in modern Western cultures. Some of the concepts seem very foreign, but we must interpret the concepts um, according to, we must translate them within their context, historical context, and the cultural context, in addition to translating the language. Otherwise, we may impose our own um, cultural biases upon these practices and therefore judge them in an inappropriate way. And it is very inappropriate when you consider that this is, we're reading Torah. Okay, so even though quite frankly what you see today is absolute madness in the West, this is what you see in the West. You see absolute madness, and yet it's normal. But then you will read something that's in the Bible and it seems foreign, which it is very distant from your culture. Now you don't want to make the mistake of saying it's wrong because it's different, because the law of the Lord is perfect. So let's see this particular law that I'm going to deal with, and that is the Levirate law, or the duty of brothers. And let's pick it up in Deuteronomy, the 25th chapter, Deuteronomy 25, and we'll pick it up at verse 5. So it reads, if brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. Okay, and that's where you get Levirate from. Okay, that term, and this is something that is still practiced in parts of the Eastern world today. So what it's saying is that if a man died having no male heir, basically, um, and his widow would not marry outside of some other nation or somebody else, but rather um, the deceased brothers, the deceased man's brother would take his brother's widow as his wife. And then it says, and he's going to raise up seed in his name. Verse 6, and it shall be that the firstborn which shall bear shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. So this is the reason why. So his name is not put out. Then it's, so now this is this is what was supposed to be done. Okay, and it was by law, and it was actually a shame attached to if you didn't do it. Verse 7, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate into the elders and say, now first of all, why is she going up to the gate? Because the gate, and again, in this culture, is the place in which judgments took place. This is where the elders would congregate if there was a certain matter that had to be adjudicated. So this is what they would do. We'll see another example of this. So they would go to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. So now again, in Hebraic culture, it is patriarchal, but oftentimes we say, well, women have no rights. Well, here's a case in which the widow, she can go because he's not fulfilled this duty and go to the authorities. See, that's the part people leave out. She could go to the authorities and tell them what's taking place. And they didn't just take her word for it. If you're going to do true justice, you have to give both sides, which is what we're going to read. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her. Okay, so if she goes to them and say, hey, he hasn't fulfilled the duty of brothers. He is he And then he hasn't done it. Then they go to him and say, is this the case? And if he said it is, then it says, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel the house of him that hath the shoe loose. So there was a intense shame associated with this. Okay, so let's go to Genesis, because even before the law is officially given, you see, when I say officially given, I mean given on Mount Sinai, right, to the children of Israel. You see the Levirate law, or the duty of brothers, here in the book of Genesis. This is Genesis chapter 38, and I'll pick it up at verse 6. It says, and Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So now Judah had a son, his son was wicked, and the Lord killed him. Then it says, and Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed, and a seed to thy brother. That's the same premise we just read. You found it here. Now, people oftentimes they come up with all kinds of things that they talk about what this is saying because of the next verse and what the Lord is allowing, when they say, well, it's talking about masturbation. That's not what this is actually talking about. I've heard preachers say this, actually well-known, prominent preachers. But it says, and Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. See, it was all about fulfilling the duty of brothers. And because he didn't want, he tells you what it was on his mind. The book does. It says, when he went in, said Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. Because let me say this, that first male heir would be considered that brother's offspring, and he would have an inheritance, right? And so now the ones that came after that would belong to the brother, the living brother. But he didn't want that to take place, and so it says the Lord dealt with him too. Verse 10, and the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. See, this may sound foreign, but when you look at, I saw a woman today, not that long ago. The woman was in such a state of destitution physically. She could barely walk. She could barely get around. I mean, barely. It was really bad. And it just had me thinking about how it's not set up for you to not have somebody to depend on. One thing, when you see the Lord, how he had it with women, and I'm going to read something here. He had it set up to where, you would take care of widows, you would take care of women, you would take care of people. This is, and that's what happens in the patriarchy. But now let's pick it up at, I want to read this, if I can find it actually. This is, give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna read this here. Now this is under Levirate